I didn't even hear her sit down. I was halfway through a reheated plate of leftover spaghetti when Claire just appeared on the couch like a ghost and said, "I want a divorce." No buildup, no argument, no emotion, just that. My fork froze halfway to my mouth. I turned my head slowly. She was sitting straight-backed, legs crossed, arms resting lightly in her lap. She didn't look angry, didn't look sad. She looked like she was reading off a damn script. "I've already spoken to a lawyer," she said, like she was confirming a lunch reservation. "I'll be taking the house, 70% of our joint savings, and I'll need monthly alimony. My attorney already drafted the papers." I didn't say a word, couldn't. My brain stalled out, like someone had ripped the key from the ignition mid-drive. I just stared at her, trying to match this version of Claire with the woman I married 12 years ago. She kept talking. "You can keep your car and your personal savings, what's left of it. But I'm not going to argue with you. If you want to drag this out, go ahead. Just know I can afford a legal team. You can't." I swallowed hard. "Are you serious right now?" Claire didn't blink. "I've done the math. You're barely covering your student loan payments. You think you're going to fight me in court? You don't have the stomach for it, Jake." Her voice was ice. Not angry, not cruel, just cold, like I was a client she was firing. I stood up, then sat right back down. My legs weren't working. My hands were clammy. My heart was somewhere near my throat. She reached into her bag and pulled out a thick envelope. "These are the papers. I'll need you to serve them back to me officially by tomorrow." I looked at the envelope like it was a live grenade. She set it on the coffee table like it was nothing. Then she stood, smoothed her blouse, picked up her purse. "I'll be staying at the Marriott until this is finalized," she said. "Do not call me. Everything goes through the lawyer now." I stared at the carpet, couldn't feel my face, couldn't even feel my fingers. Claire paused at the door. "You're not a bad guy, Jake. You're just not built for a fight." I didn't look at her when I said it. I didn't even lift my head. "You're right." She walked out without another word. I reached over and pulled the envelope into my lap. It was heavier than it looked. I didn't move from the couch for hours. I just sat there, envelope in my lap, lights off, watching the sky turn black outside the window. The next few days blurred together. I didn't shower, didn't eat anything that didn't come out of a box. The house felt empty in a way that wasn't about space. It was like the soul got ripped out of it, and maybe me too. I'd get up in the middle of the night thinking I heard Claire in the kitchen. Every time I realized she wasn't coming back, my stomach sank all over again. But none of that compared to the feeling that I couldn't do a damn thing about it. No lawyer would even return my calls once I told them how much I made. The ones that did were polite at first, until they heard Claire already had someone lined up and I hadn't filed anything. Then they started treating me like a lost cause. One guy literally said, "Honestly, your best move might be to sign and move on." By the third day, I was sitting in the garage with a beer at 10 in the morning, trying to figure out how the hell my life got here. That's when I thought about Derek. I hadn't spoken to him in 6 years, not since the mess with Dad's will. We said some things you don't come back from. At least I thought we did. He told me I was spineless. I told him he was a greedy bastard. Then we both just stopped. Still, sitting there with that warm beer in my hand, feeling like I had nothing left to lose, I pulled out my phone and searched his name in my old contacts. Still had his number. I stared at it for a solid 10 minutes. My thumb hovered over the screen. I knew it could go bad. Maybe straight to voicemail. Maybe he'd hang up. Maybe he'd tell me to screw off. I hit call anyway. It rang once, then twice. Then he picked up. "Jake?" His voice was different. A little deeper, calmer, but still sharp. "Yeah, hey, I wasn't sure you still had this number." There was a pause. "I figured you wouldn't be calling unless something was wrong." His tone wasn't angry, just alert. Like he already knew this wasn't a social call. I let out a breath. "Claire wants a divorce." Another pause. "Shit. She wants the house, most of the money, and alimony. Says she already filed, left me the papers, told me I can't fight it, said I'm too broke for a lawyer, and..." My voice cracked, and I hated that it did. "And she's probably right." Derek didn't say anything for a second. I heard traffic in the background. A horn honked. Then, calm as ever. "When's the court date?" "Next Thursday." "Show up. I'll be there." I blinked. "Wait, what?" "I'll be there, early. Don't bring anything except the papers and whatever they've filed. I didn't call for money or anything. I know why you called. His voice tightened. You're still my brother, Jake, and nobody's gonna steamroll you while I'm alive. I sat there holding the phone, not knowing what to say. He didn't give me time to figure it out. Just be there on time. I'll handle the rest. He hung up. For the first time in days, I sat up straight. Not fixed, not healed, but something shifted, a crack of light in the fog. The courthouse smelled like bleach and cold air. I showed up 40 minutes early, wearing a suit I hadn't touched since my last job interview. It was too tight in the shoulders and wrinkled down the back, but it was all I had. I looked like a guy who couldn't afford to lose, and already had. I walked through security with my folder tucked under my arm like a school project, then followed the signs upstairs to courtroom 3. The place was dead quiet. I stepped in, found the defendant's table, and sat down. My hands were clammy, so I wiped them on my pants and just stared at the wood grain in front of me. It felt like I was waiting to be sentenced, not divorced. The bailiff sat up near the bench, flipping through a magazine like none of this mattered. A couple of other people walked in and out, probably waiting on their own disasters to start. I kept glancing at the door, and then they walked in. Claire came through like she owned the floor. Her hair was perfect, makeup sharp. Lips painted a shade of red that made her look like some kind of CEO stepping off a private jet. She wore a black tailored suit, heels clicking across the tile, like this wasn't even personal, just a deal she was closing. Behind her was a guy who looked like he'd been defending rich women since the 90s. Salt and pepper hair, overpriced briefcase, expensive cologne that somehow reached me from 10 feet away. He leaned toward her and whispered something. She laughed, quiet and smug. They looked like a team, like they'd already won. Claire's eyes landed on me as she passed by. She didn't stop, didn't speak, just gave me this look like, poor thing. Still showed up. I didn't flinch, didn't blink, just stared forward and said nothing. She sat across the room. Her lawyer started unpacking documents, laying them out in neat little rows like trophies. I looked around. Derek wasn't here yet. Clock said 9:20. My palms started sweating again. The judge came in at 9:30 sharp. The bailiff called the room to order, and everyone stood. Case of Claire Morgan versus Jacob Morgan, the clerk announced. The judge adjusted her glasses and looked at the papers in front of her. Mr. Morgan, are you representing yourself today? I opened my mouth, but didn't get the chance to answer, because just then, the courtroom door swung open. But that's next scene. For now, I kept my mouth shut and stayed seated. The judge looked up, waiting. Claire turned toward the back, frowning. I didn't move. And for the first time since Claire dropped the bomb on me, I didn't feel scared. I felt like something was about to shift. Like this wasn't the end. It was the start of a damn fight. I was about to open my mouth to admit I had no lawyer when the courtroom doors slammed open behind me. Not creaked, slammed. The whole room turned. And there he was, Derek. He walked in like he owned the building, not just the courtroom, the whole damn courthouse. Dark blue suit, perfectly tailored, tie sharp, shoes shining like glass. He didn't even look at the judge, the clerk, or the bailiff. His eyes scanned the room once and locked on me. He nodded, barely. You could feel the energy shift, like someone just turned the pressure up in the room. A couple of lawyers near the back straightened in their seats. The court reporter whispered something to the bailiff. Even the judge leaned forward slightly, like she suddenly recognized the name she was about to read off the file. Claire twisted in her chair, confused at first, then slowly going pale. Her lips parted just a little. Her eyes darted from Derek to me, then back again. And her lawyer? He looked like he just swallowed his tongue. Derek didn't break stride. He walked right down the center aisle, came around to my table, and took the empty seat beside me, like this was all scheduled. His briefcase hit the desk with a sharp, deliberate click that made Claire flinch. He didn't say good morning, didn't ask how I was, just leaned over and muttered, low enough only I could hear, "You really wore that suit?" I actually let out a small laugh. The first in weeks. My hands stopped shaking. The judge cleared her throat. Derek stood smoothly, buttoned his jacket, and turned to face her head on. "Your Honor, my name is Derek Morgan. I'll be representing the defendant today." The judge glanced at the clerk, then back at Derek. "Mr. Morgan, we weren't informed counsel was retained. Late notice. My client called me this week. We intend to proceed. Claire's lawyer stood abruptly. Your Honor, this is highly irregular. We weren't notified. Derek raised a hand without even looking at him. And yet, here I am. He turned to the judge again. We'll waive any delays. We're ready. The judge nodded once, slowly. Very well. Proceed. Claire's eyes hadn't left Derek. She looked like she was still trying to process what just happened. Derek sat down next to me, calm as ever. He flipped open his briefcase, pulled out a slim folder, and slid it onto the table between us. He leaned in again, voice casual. Relax. She's already losing. I looked at him, my brother who I hadn't seen in 6 years, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Power. Not because I had it, but because someone in the room did, and they were sitting right next to me. Claire shifted uncomfortably in her chair. Her lawyer whispered something in her ear, but she didn't respond. She just stared across the room like her game plan had just caught fire. I kept my hands folded, face straight, mouth shut. Let them wonder what was coming. Let them feel it. Derek didn't even look at me again. He faced forward like the courtroom was his office and everyone else was just wasting his time. The judge folded her hands. Counsel, we're here on the initial divorce petition and temporary orders. Mrs. Morgan is requesting exclusive use of the marital home, division of assets as outlined, and spousal support. Claire's lawyer stood with this smug little half smile, like he was about to read off numbers from a menu. Derek stood first. Your Honor, we reject the petitioner's demands in full. Claire's lawyer blinked, and the smile slipped. Derek didn't slow down. The proposed division is unreasonable and unfair on its face. 70% of joint savings, exclusive rights to the marital residence, and ongoing spousal support without a proper accounting? No. Claire's head snapped up. Her eyes narrowed like she wasn't used to being told no. Her lawyer cleared his throat. Your Honor, the petition reflects my client's needs and the defendant's earning history. Derek turned his head just enough to cut him with a look. Earning history doesn't justify daylight robbery. The judge's expression stayed neutral, but I caught a shift. She was listening closer now. Derek opened his folder and slid a document forward like he was dropping a weight on the table. We're filing a counter-petition today. We're requesting equitable division of assets and a full forensic audit of all shared accounts, expenditures, and transfers for the past 18 months. Claire's lawyer stepped forward fast. Objection. That's excessive. There's no basis for a forensic audit. Derek didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. The basis is the petitioner walked in here with a pre-packaged demand list and a confidence level that suggests she believes the books won't be questioned. Claire's face tightened. Her fingers gripped the edge of her table. The lawyer tried again, louder this time. Your Honor, this is harassment. It's meant to intimidate my client into... Derek lifted a hand, palm out, like he was stopping traffic. Or it's meant to find the truth. If there's nothing to hide, then your client has nothing to fear. The judge looked at Claire's lawyer. Counsel? He hesitated, just a beat too long. Derek pounced on that hesitation. Temporary orders based on an unverified financial picture are a mistake. My client showed up willing to be fair. The petitioner showed up trying to crush him. Claire let out a sharp breath, like she was holding herself back from speaking. Her control was slipping. I could see it in the way her jaw jumped. The judge tapped her pen once. Mr. Morgan, are you asserting financial misconduct? I'm asserting we need transparency before this court awards anything. I'm also requesting the petitioner produce financial disclosures within 14 days, including bank statements, credit card statements, tax returns, and any business-related accounts. Claire's lawyer shook his head hard. Your Honor, 14 days is not reasonable. Derek didn't miss a step. Then 21? But we are not moving forward on her fantasy numbers. The judge's eyes stayed on Derek. And the home? Derek answered immediately. My client requests that the marital home remain jointly held until proper valuation and accounting is completed. No exclusive possession without cause. No forced displacement. Claire's mouth opened like she was about to argue directly with the judge. Her lawyer grabbed her forearm lightly, trying to keep her still. She jerked away from him, offended. The judge looked down at her notes again. Mrs. Morgan, do you wish to speak? Claire stood too fast, her chair scraping. This is ridiculous. He can't afford this. He's doing this to punish me. Derek's voice snapped and clean and sharp. Your Honor, my client is here to protect himself. The petitioner is the one who came in with punitive demands. Claire's face went red. She leaned forward across the table like she wanted to tear into him. You don't get to... Her lawyer cut in, quick, nervous now. Your Honor, my client is emotional. She's under stress. Derek didn't even look at Claire again. He looked at the judge. Stress doesn't entitle someone to fraud, asset concealment, or abuse of process. If those things exist, we'll uncover them. If they don't, we'll move on. Either way, the court will have facts. The judge sat back. The room felt tight, like nobody wanted to breathe wrong. Then she nodded. I'm granting the request for full financial disclosures and permitting limited forensic review pending initial production. Temporary orders regarding exclusive possession and spousal support will be deferred until I see a complete financial picture. Claire's lawyer's shoulders dropped, like he'd just taken a punch. Claire looked like someone ripped the floor out from under her. Derek sat down, smooth, and slid another sheet toward the clerk like it was routine. I didn't move. I just watched Claire's face crack while Derek kept pushing paperwork forward, one controlled motion at a time. After court let out, Derek barely said 10 words to me on the way to his car. He just told me to answer my phone when he called and keep every bank statement I had. The next 6 weeks were war. Derek filed motions like he was firing rounds, tax returns, credit reports, full statements on every joint and individual account Claire touched. Her lawyer tried pushing back, saying the scope was too broad. The judge shut that down quick. Once that motion was granted, Derek brought in his team, 2 forensic accountants, both with faces like they hadn't smiled since the early 2000s. They didn't ask questions. They just worked. Every couple of days, I'd get a call. Jake, did Claire ever mention a business account at Wells Fargo? No. Why? Click. Jake, who's Ben? That one stopped me cold. What? Ben, you'll want to sit for this. 3 days later, Derek laid it all out on my kitchen table. He and one of the accountants showed up around 9 a.m. with a laptop, 2 folders, and a legal pad covered in notes. This is going to suck, Derek said, flipping the screen toward me. But it's better than walking in blind. I stared at the spreadsheet. Dozens of transactions, flights, hotel stays, restaurant bills, all tagged personal. She's been bleeding the joint account for over a year, Derek said, sometimes in chunks, sometimes quiet little charges, $30 here, $100 there, but it adds up. The accountant chimed in. Nearly 28 grand. Some of it looks like it was transferred to a private checking account, in her name only. That account's been active for 10 months. Derek opened one of the folders and dropped a printout in front of me. It was a hotel invoice from Charleston. 2 guests, 1 king suite. 3 nights, room service, bottle of wine, listed under Claire's work card. Ben, Derek said again. You don't know him? No, never heard the name. Works for a logistics company out of Austin. Travel overlaps with Claire's business trips 6 times. Same cities, same dates. I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. My throat felt tight. I couldn't tell if I wanted to throw up or punch a hole in the drywall. She planned the divorce, Derek said. This wasn't sudden. She's been moving money, lining things up so you'd look like the broke fool she could walk over. This guy was part of it. She's been funding their relationship with our money? I asked. Correct. And I didn't see any of it coming. Derek shut the folder. You trusted her. That's not a crime. What she did? That's a whole different thing. The accountant started listing more examples. Airbnb charges to a burner card, Uber rides paid from Venmo transfers, a second storage unit she never told me about. It just kept stacking. Every new detail hit like a jab to the ribs. She's been hiding assets, manipulating expenses, and committing marital fraud. You want to play hardball? Derek asked. This is what we bring to court. I didn't answer. I just nodded. That night, I sat alone in the living room, staring at the fireplace we never used. Claire decorated that mantel every holiday like she was building a magazine cover. Now, all I saw was a set piece in a lie. The next morning, Derek texted, going deeper on Ben. I want proof. He didn't wait for permission. He had his team trace Claire's work travel, pull her hotel points, subpoena the billing records from her company card. He sent letters to Ben's employer requesting confirmation of his corporate lodging. By the end of the week, we had enough threads to stitch a quilt. Claire wasn't sloppy. She just thought no one would look. Derek made sure we looked at everything, and every new answer made her position weaker. I showed up to the deposition with Derek's text still burned into my brain. Going deeper on Ben. I want proof. The conference room was bland and over-air conditioned, like they wanted everyone half frozen and too uncomfortable to argue. I sat at the far end of the table with a legal pad I didn't need, hands folded, face blank. Derek sat beside me, calm and clean-cut, like this was just another Tuesday. Sarah walked in 10 minutes late. I'd met her a bunch of times, girls' nights, birthday dinners, all that. Claire's best friend. She used to hug me and call me Jay. Now she avoided my eyes and slid into the chair like she was doing Claire a favor just by showing up. Her lawyer did the usual speech about truth and perjury. Sarah nodded way too fast. Derek started gentle, which was the scary part. "Sarah, how long have you known Claire?" "Since college," she said. "Over a decade." "And you consider yourself her closest friend?" "Yes." Derek's pen moved across his notepad. "Have you spent time with Claire in the last year?" Sarah hesitated. "Sure, here and there." "Did she ever mention a man named Ben?" Sarah's chin lifted a little. "No." Derek didn't react. He reached into his briefcase and set a thin stack of papers on the table, sliding it toward her like he was handing her a menu. "Do you recognize these charges?" he asked. Sarah glanced down. Her eyes moved fast, then slowed. A tiny muscle in her cheek twitched. "I don't know what that is," she said. Derek nodded once. "This is a credit card statement for an account in Claire's name only, not disclosed during financial discovery. We subpoenaed it." Sarah's lawyer shifted in his seat. Objection, foundation. Derek didn't even look at him. "It's her best friend. She'll answer." Sarah swallowed. "I don't handle Claire's finances." "No," Derek said, still calm. "But you were with her in Charleston on April 12th, correct?" Sarah's eyes snapped up. We went there for a girls' weekend." Derek flipped a page. "That's interesting, because these charges show 2 spa packages purchased under the name Ben R., and a dinner reservation for 2 at Hall's Chop House. Same night, same city." Sarah opened her mouth, closed it, then tried to recover. "I don't know anything about—" Derek leaned forward slightly. "Sarah, I'm going to ask again. Did Claire ever mention a man named Ben?" "I said no." Derek let the silence sit, heavy and mean. Then he placed another document down, an email confirmation. "This is a hotel booking," he said. "King Suite, 2 guests, booked with Claire's secret card. The second guest was listed as Ben Reynolds." Sarah's face drained. She looked at her lawyer like he was supposed to save her. He stared back like, "Don't look at me." Derek's voice stayed even. "If you lie under oath in a deposition, it doesn't help Claire. It hurts you. Do you understand?" Sarah nodded, small. "Good. Now, answer the question." Sarah's shoulders slumped like someone cut the strings. "Yes," she whispered. Derek didn't pounce. He just kept pressure on, steady as a jack. "How long had she been seeing him?" he asked. Sarah squeezed her hands together. "Over a year." "And she used marital funds?" Derek added. Sarah's eyes flicked toward me for the first time, then away again. "Yes. She said it was their money anyway." My stomach turned, hot and sharp. I kept my face still. I wasn't giving anyone the satisfaction of watching me break. Derek wrote something down. "Did Claire ever talk about the divorce plan?" Sarah nodded again, tears showing, but not falling. "She said she was going to take the house. She said you'd roll over." Derek's pen stopped. "Did she say why?" Sarah's voice came out shaky, but clear. "She said you wouldn't fight because you couldn't afford it." Derek set his pen down. "No more questions?" Sarah's lawyer started talking fast about redirect, but Derek was already packing up documents like the outcome was decided. Sarah sat there staring at the table like she'd just stepped off a cliff. Outside in the hallway, Derek looked at me. "That's the crack," he said. "Now we shove a crowbar in it." Within days, Derek's team had been served. Ben showed up to his deposition acting tough. Mid-30s, crisp polo, fancy watch. That fake confident smile guys wear when they think they're untouchable. He didn't even look at me at first. Derek got him sworn in, then went straight for the throat. "Mr. Reynolds, did you have a sexual relationship with Claire Morgan?" Ben scoffed. I don't see how that's relevant. Derek's eyes didn't move. Answer? Ben's smile tightened. Yes. Did Claire spend money from her joint account with my client to fund that relationship? Derek asked. Ben shifted in his chair. She bought things. I didn't track where it came from. Derek slid a stack of statements across the table. We did. Look at the highlighted charges. Ben's jaw worked. He looked down. His face changed in real time. Derek waited him out, then asked, Did you and Claire discuss her taking the house and most of the savings? Ben swallowed. She said she was going to come out ahead. That's not my question, Derek said. Did you discuss stripping Jake of his assets? Ben's eyes flicked at me, finally. Not cocky now, not smug, just caught. He exhaled. Yes. There it was, clean, recorded, under oath. Derek clicked his pen and leaned back. No further questions. I watched Ben's hands shake as he signed the deposition pages, and I picked up my folder and stood to walk out. I hadn't even made it out of the parking lot after Ben's deposition when Derek's phone rang. He checked the screen, smiled like he already knew, and answered it on speaker. Counselor, he said, buckling his seatbelt with one hand. Claire's lawyer sounded like a guy who'd just gotten off a roller coaster and realized he'd left his stomach 2 loops back. Look, I think we all know this case has shifted. Derek leaned back in his seat, completely relaxed. Shifted? No, it's over. You just haven't caught up yet. The guy cleared his throat. Claire is willing to drop her demand for the house and alimony. We can settle on an even split, quietly. I laughed before I could stop myself. Derek didn't react. She's willing to be reasonable now, the lawyer added, desperate. Derek waited a beat. Then, she's not in a position to be reasonable. She's in a position to be lucky if she walks away without felony charges. There was silence on the line. Come on, the lawyer tried. This doesn't need to be messy. Nobody benefits from that. Derek looked at me and raised an eyebrow like, want to hear me twist the knife? Then he leaned forward. You mean Claire doesn't benefit, he said. Jake's already been through messy. You dragged him into court thinking he was broke and cornered. Turns out he's got a brother who doesn't lose. Claire's lawyer lowered his voice like that would help. If this goes to trial, everyone sees the affair, the fraud. Ben's deposition goes public. That's career-ending for her. Derek didn't blink. Not my problem. You're not even asking what she wants. Because I don't care what she wants. There was another pause, longer this time. Then, one last attempt. What if she agrees to walk away with nothing? No claims, no support, no property? I finally spoke. She already took something for over a year. Derek nodded and snapped it shut. We're not negotiating theft, we're proving it. Trial date stands. He hung up. Just like that. We sat in silence for a minute while Derek started the engine. He looked out the windshield like he was thinking through his next 10 steps. I still couldn't believe how calm he stayed, like he had ice in his veins. She really thought she could walk in, burn me down, and walk off clean, I said. She's not thinking anymore, Derek said. She's reacting. That's when they lose. Over the next few days, the silence from Claire's side said more than any legal memo could. No more emails, no more calls, just quiet. She knew. Her smugness was gone. Her leverage was gone. Her backup plan was on record admitting to the whole scam. She wasn't just looking at losing the house now. She was looking at full exposure. She'd lied under oath, concealed assets, misused joint funds, and built her divorce strategy on manipulation. And now, we had the receipts. I heard from a mutual friend that Claire wasn't sleeping, that she'd taken time off work and was going through something. I didn't respond. Let them wonder. Derek called one night and gave me the full picture. She's got nothing left to offer, he said. They know trial means disaster. What are we doing? We're going to trial. I paused. Even if she begs? He didn't hesitate. Especially if she begs. We weren't out for revenge. This wasn't about getting even. This was about showing her, and every person like her, that you don't get to ruin someone and walk away smiling. You don't get to lie, cheat, and gut someone's life and expect a handshake on the way out. Derek made sure the next court date stayed on the calendar, and for the first time since she dropped that envelope on our coffee table, she was the one losing sleep. The final court date hit like a deadline you couldn't dodge. I walked into the same courthouse with a better fitted suit and a steadier breath, but my stomach still felt tight. Derek walked beside me like a shield, calm and focused. Claire was already seated when we entered. She didn't look polished anymore. Her hair was pulled back too tight, like she'd done it angry. Her eyes were tired. Her lawyer sat stiff next to her, shuffling papers like he could rearrange reality. When the judge called the case, Claire didn't meet my eyes, not once. Derek stood and laid it out clean. He presented the secret credit card, the hidden account, the hotel invoices and flight records that lined up with work trips, Ben's deposition transcript, signed and sealed, Sarah's admission, also under oath, the transfers out of our joint account, month after month, like Claire was building her exit ramp while I paid the bills like an idiot. Claire's lawyer tried to object twice. Both times, the judge shut him down. "You had discovery," the judge said, flat. "You had the opportunity to dispute these facts." Claire's lawyer started to speak again, but Claire grabbed his sleeve. She leaned in and whispered something. He stopped. Then Claire stood. Her voice came out smaller than I expected. "Your Honor, I withdraw my requests for exclusive use of the home and spousal support." The judge stared at her for a long second. "And the misappropriated funds?" Claire's jaw tightened. "I understand the court's concerns." Derek didn't let her wriggle. "Your Honor, the amount traced from the joint account totals $40,000. We're requesting restitution." The judge looked down at the file, then back up. "Granted." And then the ruling landed, solid and final. Claire was denied alimony. Her request for spousal support was dismissed. The house stayed with me. Claire was ordered to return $40,000. The judge's tone stayed even, but every word hit like a door slamming shut. Claire's face went blank, like her body turned off the emotion to survive it. Her lawyer sat back like a man watching a ship sink. When the judge dismissed us, Claire moved fast. She grabbed her bag, stood, and walked out without looking at me, without looking at Derek, without looking at anyone. Humiliated and exposed, exactly how she'd tried to leave me. Outside the courtroom, Derek and I stopped near a window overlooking the parking lot. For a second, neither of us spoke. Then Derek exhaled. "You okay?" I nodded once. "I'm not wrecked anymore." He gave me a small, tired smile. "Good, because we're done letting people do that to us." I swallowed, and my throat burned a little. "We wasted years." "We're not wasting the next ones," he said. I stuck out my hand, then thought better of it, and pulled him into a quick hug instead. He froze for half a second, then hugged back hard. Then we walked out together.